Yo guys, and welcome back to another video. Welcome back to the YouTube channel. And welcome back to another Super Sunday match reaction, people. Chelsea won, Arsenal won. Before we get into it, make sure to like the video and make sure to subscribe if you are new. We're trying to hit 1K as soon as possible, and we're very close to 600. So let's make that happen as soon as possible. And yeah, this is a game that I said was going to be a draw. I should have put a bet on half of the games of the weekend because I said Man City would lose 2-1. And I said that this game would be a draw. And I said that West Ham Everton would be a draw, but from the first half, it was looking like 0-0 for quite a long time. Not gonna lie, and I was only really impressed with a few individuals. Not gonna lie, so like Kukurea, who got mad at the match, Caicedo, who I thought should have got mad at the match. I think Saliba held his own. I don't think many people from Arsenal did, other than and Timber. I thought Timber was alright, but everyone else in the pitch, like Fafana was decent. I'll say them five though, like especially in the attacking players, I was very disappointed. Like I didn't think Arsenal's front three was good at all. Didn't think Chelsea's front three was good at all. I thought Palmer was a ghost. Erdegaard didn't really get the ball. But what I mean Palmer was a ghost, not even Palmer was a ghost. Palmer wasn't just doing anything of note. He had the ball, but I felt like he was trying to force it too much. I don't like this Palmer on the left 10 sort of thing, watching it as a neutral. Surely when you get Palmer on the right 10, he creates way more in between the spaces where you could get from right wing to the number 10 position. But when he goes to this left, like he can't create because it just only allows him to go direct because he's very one-footed. But when you put him on the opportunities where he's allowed to cut in, it doesn't matter that he doesn't really use his right foot like that because he's in his element and stuff. Thought Caicedo was class though. Thought Caicedo was really, really good. Covering all the spaces was probably the main reason why Chelsea weren't losing, if I'm being 100% honest. Well, even alongside Lavia or Enzo Fernandez. He was just consistent throughout the whole match. Very aggressive, played to the notion of it being a London derby as well. With the Arsenal side, they were just going down the left hand side way too much. Like the midfield was so ineffective. Marino was dropped. Rice and Partey, Erdegaard midfield. Erdegaard being rushed back. Didn't really look like the Erdegaard that we all know until the goal. Great assist from him. But overall, in that first half, like Saka was getting pocketed by Kukurea. Like Odegaard wasn't that effective. I thought Timbo did well driving with the ball and stuff as well, and he wasn't tested defensively because Madueke had an absolute stinker of a game. And to be honest with you, it was entertaining from like how feisty it was and how heated it was, but from a whole quality standpoint, it's been terrible. And to be fair, that most of the Big Six games have been like that for a few years in the Premier League, but that game especially, like I thought the teams would cancel each other out just because with the way the both teams play, with the way both teams are structured, the way both teams are set up within their midfields, there's a lot of players in the middle. So there's going to be just a lot of duel winning and a lot of spaces there just to allow people just to clash into each other rather than anyone getting the ball and trying to control the game, etc. Thought Chelsea started well, then Arsenal pretty much had most of that first half. Like, listen, it was a good idea from Rice, but as usual, Havertz offside, and that's something that Chelsea fans used to criticize him for. It was kind of funny how he shushed the crowd, obviously against your former club. They're booing you and stuff, um, and then it goes offside, VAR, and that was a criticism from Chelsea fans, as I just said. He doesn't stay onside. He hasn't done that as much with Arsenal, but that seemed to sum up the game because there was a lot of offsides. There was a lot of stopping and starting. The game was poorly refed as every Premier League game is, but for both sides, I'm sure both fan bases are going to talk about some form of agenda, even though there was no agenda, and it never really is. To be honest, the refs are just terrible in this league. But I think Madueke needed to come off a lot earlier for Chelsea. Mudryk came on, and it wasn't even the fact that Mudryk came on and did anything, because when he came on, he didn't do anything. But it was the fact that Neto got to play on the right, even though he was giving Ben White a couple of problems. He wasn't. I feel like Neto could have been a lot better. I feel like he was going sideways to way too much, way too much. He wasn't for a man who could take his player on, and Bresca wants his wingers to go 1v1 quite a lot. He wasn't doing that enough. He wasn't effective enough. He just kept going to the side all the time. Um, but that kind of summed up the game. That summed up the game. There wasn't that much quality. Um, most of the chances that were created in the game came off on the back of the other team making a mistake. Levi Colwill, probably one of his worst games of the season. Robert Sanchez, literally a ghosting goal. Like, what are you doing for that goal? What is anyone doing for that goal? The whole defensive line, like, if you play high up like that, you got to have 100% concentration and be on the wavelength for so long. That's the main problem with all of that. And that's just me being real with it, because when you look at the games like that, it all comes down to who's going to have the most quality in the final third, of course, because you want to see the big players start up in the big games. No one really turned up. Like Caicedo and Timber, if we're looking at one person from each side, I'd say Caicedo and Timber. As I said, I know Cucurella got man of the match, but as I've mentioned millions of times in this video already, Moises Caicedo won the midfield battle on his own, in my opinion, because Odegaard looks like he's being rushed back, and he's probably going to play internationals as well. Arteta doesn't have any skill when it comes to man management and squad management, because every time a key player comes back straight away from injury, he throws them straight in. As he was a player in the Premier League, surely he would know himself that you want to be careful with your best players so you can have them in the most crucial parts of the season. Now, what does this say for the bigger picture of the league, etc.? Well, I thought Arsenal were done anyway after losing to Newcastle. They haven't won a Premier League game since the last international break. They drew with Chelsea and Liverpool and lost to Newcastle and Bournemouth. So really, you could argue that Arsenal are okay in the bigger games, but it's the games like Bournemouth and Newcastle away where they don't really turn up. They've only played one home game as well. They didn't even win that. In all competitions, I'm pretty sure they beat, was it Shakhtar and Preston? But none of those games gave them any confidence to really take into the Premier League games. They also lost to Inter Milan the other day as well. So I think they're 9 points away. So they're on the same points as Chelsea and Nottingham Forest, 9 points away from the league title. And with a team and a squad that hasn't won the league title together before, doesn't really have the know-how to go ahead and win the league title and get over the line, you could quite comfortably say that they're out of it, because being 9 points behind whilst not being the favourite and not having the know-how to get in is a bit different from when, like, a Manchester City's 9 points behind, because you can look at Man City and be like, they are used to this, so they can put a certain type of run together and get over the line and have the mentality to get over the line. Now, Arsenal have proven that they can put a run together, but they haven't proven that they can go over the line, especially in whatever their target is, whether it's been top four or winning the league, etc. But when it comes to Chelsea, I don't think Chelsea should take this to heart. As I said against Liverpool, like, cool, you do need to turn up in the bigger games. Like, Cole Palmer does need to turn up in these big six games. The manager needs to switch it up sometimes and maybe a bit more proactive, which he usually is in most games, but maybe slightly more proactive in the big six games as well. And just try and switch it up, because Maresca's good at making subs and he's good at changing it up. But when it comes to certain points in these big six games, you've got to be slightly more proactive than the other manager. I thought Mikel Merino, when he came out, was absolutely awful. Awful. Like, that cameo really stunk. And this guy's played in the Premier League before, yeah. And I thought this guy was going to come and just keep it ticking. I didn't think it was an outstanding signing or anything, but I just thought it maybe fit what they had. However, I don't watch Sociedad, so I don't know how he's been performing these past couple of years. I thought he was actually all right when he was at Newcastle. I remember him being okay, but I don't think Arsenal would go and get him. But every time I watch him play, he doesn't look like he's, well, comfortable. Doesn't look like he's the level. It's quite simple as that. Saka's got injured again. We're going to see if that means he pulls out of international break. He'll probably be injured, pull out of international break, and then come back and then play again. Saka's been run into the ground, and we've mentioned this millions of times on the GVO show, which you can check out tomorrow at 8 p.m. I'm live with Alfie, and we might have a Chelsea guest on that. I'm just still trying to arrange that right now as well. But listen, make sure to like the video. Make sure to subscribe if you are new. Social medias are in the description if you want to follow me. The email for the inquiries. I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.